The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
And Happy New Year, everybody. Well, actually, this is January 4th?
Yes.
January 4th, Miss Melissa. I was just watching Ellen yesterday, and she said, do we still have to say Happy New Year, even though it's January 4th?
I think you have to do it the whole month.
Anyway, Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you for all the calls and emails that we've been getting regarding the magazine, obviously, but also for our radio show. Vivian out there, you listen to the radio show. A nice little couple from Hawaii Kai that called me just the other day saying they love the magazine and the radio show, and a couple of my local friends here to listen to the show for their parents. So, Melissa, I'm a little older than you. My era, my baby boomer friends are all starting to worry about their parents,
And what to do with themselves.
Yeah. We just had a post on our Facebook page Wednesday, telling you earlier about an article from the recent Generations magazine about fall prevention. Mm-hmm. And a couple of people chimed in on our Facebook page and found out one of the boys that I coach, their families dealing with their own grandfather who's got Alzheimer's, and I never knew that. So we're a big resource, so you can always contact us at the magazine, Percy at generations808.com, but go to our Facebook page as well. But this is a great busy year again, Melissa.
It's ramped up, and I'm already thinking about July because we have so much going on for the next 6 months. So it's just been, my head is already in there. So
good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you're young enough. You eat healthy. You exercise,
I do,
right?
but it's still tired. I still get tired, but just have to take care of yourself. A lot of sleep.
Yes.
Just a lot of sleep and a lot of water and exercise.
Yeah. So every week, as you guys know, we have a different topic on aging, and we've been doing this for over a year now. And thanks, Miss Leah, our engineer here. You've been with us about a year now since our previous engineer left. But it's educational for myself and all our partners in the magazine. And don't forget, watch KITV on Saturday mornings around 6:45. They have the Aging Well segment that talks about aging. So it's a great segment that's very well watched because it's the only weekend news in the morning on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So, gang, tune in to KITV every Saturday morning, Sunday morning. Anyway, you want to introduce our guest today?
Yes, I would love to. So today we have Ku'u. Her first name is Charlene. You're the owner, or what is the...
owner and operator
of the Caregivers Heart Hawaii.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your organization and how you got started.
Okay. I'm owner of Caregivers Heart Hawaii, and it's a care home referral service for seniors. Previously, I was a medical social worker at Halinani Rehab in Makiki. And then when I was there, I saw that there was a need for families to navigate through the care home process.
Right. It's a huge need.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you worked at Avalon. I'm sorry, Avalon manages Halinani.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I live like 3 blocks away from there.
Yeah, I used to work there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you say you were a home health social worker?
No, a medical social worker.
So what's the difference between a medical social worker and a social worker or licensed social worker?
Well, there's social workers working in different areas, whether it's working with seniors or working with children and families. There's social workers working with people that have drug addictions. So a lot of times people get confused thinking that social workers are people that take away children. And that's it. But really, there's social workers working in.
So you can really specialize in what area?
Yes.
So
and actually, when I went to school, my concentration was actually with children and families because I worked with children and families my whole life. But it kind of switched gears after the passing of my grandparents about 4.5 years ago. My grandfather was diagnosed with congestive heart disease. My grandma actually went in for surgery in December, and after that surgery, she had a lot of complications, and she didn't make it. So in February, she actually passed away. And then that was pretty traumatic for my family and I. But when she went through that process, we were just like the families that I work with. We were very tired. We had to go to the hospital, back and forth to the hospital, a lot of times up late. When they told us that she wouldn't live for 6 months, they had told us suggested hospice. So we actually took her home for hospice in my mom's house in Waimanalo. And so we have a big family, and they all flew in from the Big Island and, neighboring islands just to be with her and help take care of her. So we were all taking turns and up like 24 hours a day. And so we had hospice companies coming in, nurses and stuff, to come and help us through that time. We were very emotional and tired and worn out at the time. And through that time, because I was a social worker, I would watch all these service providers come in and give care and stuff. And I got interested, like, wow, and even after it was all done, just the service they provided to us meant so much, because we were just so emotionally drained and everything. Without them coming in to help us, I don't know how we would have got through it. And so I kind of identified with that, and from there I got interested, thinking, maybe I should go into, I thought I should have went into hospice actually. So I volunteered for St. Francis Hospice for about a year. And then after that, I said, I think I would like to try maybe social work with seniors.
Right.
Yeah. But, and after my grandmother passed away, my grandpa, 5 months later, his heart, wasn't good. And he went to the doctor, and they told him same thing. He would either get a surgery, or eventually his heart would get weak and he would die. And so he decided to get open heart surgery. After the surgery, he did well, but just a month or two after the surgery, he didn't make it. So he also had passed away only 5 months after my grandmother. So then I thought, maybe, going through that experience, I thought, just for me, I think what happened to my grandparents, it just kind of left. It was a lot of grief. I had a lot of grief, actually. I had 2 months, I cried every day for the first 2 months after my grandparents died. And I just kind of thought, what do I do with all of this grief, know? And after that, I realized that I had such a passion after that experience for seniors, and, just helping them and their families, and trying to navigate through that process of grief, and going through, hospice, and just, being there for them.
And then also, because this tragedy allowed you to have a purpose, or give you a more defined direction as well. And like you had mentioned with hospice, a lot of people don't understand that they're there to support the families. And I think a lot of times after their loved ones have passed, they really are so thankful that someone is there, and they follow you a year after, like for the bereavement. They follow up with you. How's things going? They really encourage you to come talk to groups.
Yes.
So and you had shared a story with us prior how you got your nickname.
Yes.
What's your middle name? You go by
Yeah,
your
it's
middle
my
name.
middle name.
Yeah, it's your middle name.
My Hawaiian name is Ku'unani,
Oh.
and it means my beautiful.
So
Yeah.
Charlene is actually your first name.
Charlene, yeah, that's
Okay.
my first name.
But your family knows you by Ku. So if
Yeah.
you call Ku, it's somebody close
Well,
to you, right?
Hawaiian families too, local families in Hawaii, sometimes, they like to call their kids by their Hawaiian names. So,
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
yeah.
And then they
That's
shorten
cute.
it.
Yeah, and then they shorten it.
And
Yeah.
but Ku, you said Ku stands for what now?
Ku'unani means my beautiful.
Oh, very
Yeah.
good for you. It's interesting how almost everybody in our industry, Melissa, even for yourself, have firsthand experiences with aging, and whether it's, working with hospice or death of a loved one. But even for myself, I've been in mortgage business half my life now. I'm 56, and I've been counting the years. I've been in mortgage finance business for 28 years. And 13, 14 years ago, I got interested in the reverse mortgage. And then 7 years ago, we took over the magazine. But if you asked me 13 years ago when I got involved in aging, I would own a magazine and a very successful magazine, a resource for our community. I would say, no way. I mean, people look at me, why are you the publisher? I said, because I own the magazine. And the next question is, what do you know about publishing? I said, not a whole lot, but I've learned over 7 years, and we have a great staff. Wilson Angel, our art director, who pretty much runs the business. Sherry Goya, who handles distribution and sales. Deborah Lorden as our copy editor. And thanks to our new UH intern, Shayna, she'll be doing a lot of work with us in the magazine. So, cool. It's great that you're providing this care. Not care, but providing information. And you're a great resource out there because almost every day I run into somebody that needs to have a situation. They need to find a solution. So I always provide a resource. But don't you see so many families struggling out there today?
Oh, definitely. Every day. And every situation is so different
Right.
from the other. Similar, but different.
Yeah.
You know?
But Hawaii is a kind of a big facility, isn't it? The
It is.
the largest?
It's the biggest. It's the largest skilled nursing facility. I heard when I was working there, they said in the U.S.
How many
Oh.
rooms do they have over there?
I want to say close to 300.
Wow,
Could
that is a
be,
lot.
you know.
Yeah.
Because and then most of it Medicaid?
No.
No?
Actually, they have short-term rehab, long-term, and they also offer hospice.
Okay. Oh, they offer hospice too?
They have an
Oh.
in-home hospice there, Bristol.
Oh, Bristol Hospice. But
Yeah. But
Avalon owns Bristol, right? Or
I
is it-
don't know if Avalon
Maybe it-
owns Bristol, but
Okay.
even though they have an in-home hospice there, which is Bristol, you can still choose other
Yeah, okay.
Hospice
Okay.
agencies.
companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
but they
Avalon.
have one there just to kind of make it more convenient for the families.
Yeah, Avalon manages Hawaii, right? That's
Yes.
a state
Yes,
facility?
yes.
Okay. Yes, I know. Actually, their marketing rep just called me yesterday because they also manage the facility on the Big Island, Hilo, the Okutsu Center.
Oh, okay.
I know they're out of Salt Lake City.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So, like I was talking to a friend yesterday. Their father has Alzheimer's, and they said, "Oh, well, we'll contact you if it gets worse." It only gets worse, right? Unfortunately.
Yes. It
And
does.
but I'm kind of curious. And I was talking to Melissa about this. But isn't it true that most people only contact you when it's like, "I need the place tomorrow"?
Yes.
They rarely do it in advance, right?
No, because they've never had a situation like that,
Right.
and sometimes they're in denial. They think that it's going to get better, or they think that maybe I can take my mom or dad home, or my auntie and my uncle, or my grandma and grandpa. I can take them home and care for them, but they don't realize, what really goes into
Right.
caring for
Caregiving.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
I've had several of my friends say, "Oh, my wife will quit work, take care of her mom." I said, "Why her?" "Oh, well, her other brothers and sisters are too busy; they can't do it, so my wife can do it." I said, "Do you realize when you take off work or you quit work, but you take care of your loved one, now you have no income?" And I believe she was only like 42 at the time, and then that affects her Social Security.
Right.
Oh, but she's getting paid by her siblings. I said, "Not a lot, I'm sure." Yeah, I mean, so
No.
and it's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, you did homes social work.
Actually, my sister was the one that cared for my grandparents. She's a real estate agent, but she took a lot of time off to care for them because they were living in the Big Island, but they came here frequently for doctor's appointments and things. So her life pretty much had to stop
Yeah.
every time they came, and she would take them to their appointments, make sure they're taking their medication. She would cook for them, so it took a lot out of
It's a
her.
lot of-
24/7
it
hours.
is.
It
24/7
was. And even
job.
at the time, I didn't even realize that. This was before I was a medical social worker working with seniors. I didn't realize that neither.
Oh, well, you only work 8 hours, 10 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, I was a stay-at-home mom at that time. But,
Oh.
yeah, but, she would kind of, tell me how tired she was. And, I didn't realize it, unfortunately, at the time, But I thank her so much now.
Yeah, it's not only physically, but it's mentally.
Yes.
Because you're having to answer the same questions over and over. You have to show patience.
Yeah.
Reminding them to eat, to drink, please sit down, because they like to get up and kind of wonder, and then they'll come back and sit down. So it's a lot of mental
Yeah, and for some families, unfortunately, they don't have any other options, as far as, keeping them in a long-term care facility, or even, putting them in a care home. It's like not an option financially for them. They can't do it. And so they have to
Or
take
they
them
honestly
home.
just don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
I get a lot of calls, and mine usually is I need some. I've had people call over the weekend. Can someone be here in an hour? And unfortunately, it's not how our services are set up. But they're so overwhelmed by what's my first step, what's my second step, who's going to pay for this. I have a client out on the west side, and she decided, okay, I'm going to take care of dad. Nobody else is going to step up to the plate and do it. And unfortunately, it's so hard to find caregivers out in that on that side of town. This is actually in Makaha, so it was a challenge. And I have given her resources after resources, and I honestly sent her over your information this morning because if he's not safe at home while she's at work, there has to be another solution. Whether it's maybe putting him in a care home or adult day service. I mean, trying
Right.
just to get him safe because he doesn't use his walker. He walks with his walker. So he lifts it up off the floor and he walks with it that way. And after you try to tell him, no, dad, you got to put it on the ground. He's just not comfortable with that yet.
Man, I always tell this every week to people I talk to. Men are just so different than women, you know. And the ego gets involved. They don't want to act like they're an invalid. Self-pride. And they probably could do without it, but they're going to struggle and very high potential to falling. But it's just so commonplace. But so cool. You just mentioned that, something that a lot of people, hopefully they get it after listening to this show, and hopefully they be proactive, that people don't know what a caregiver life is about until they actually get in there. Yeah.
Yes, they don't. It involves a lot. I've seen families that had to quit their jobs, like you were saying earlier. And they call me crying sometimes, please, you're like my only hope. Please help me find, so I go through with them, what a residential care home is, if that's not the right fit for them, I try to go through, what about adult daycare, or, what about private caregiving? It sounds like you just need a couple hours of rest sometimes. So
Respite care.
yeah, respite care, so I try to, fit them in the right place, even if, they're not going for residential care home, which I primarily, service people that want to go. But if it's not for them, then I try to look for another resource. So that's why I'm so glad that I'm hooked up also with Generations, because they have so many resources out there.
Well, all our partners are resources, but you're the only one that does placement.
Yeah.
We have Melissa
You
with
are the
Altruist Medical that
resource.
does a great job at having home
Home care services.
going to their homes.
But however, when I know that there's nothing further that I can do, and I know they need to be in a care home, it's good to refer them like I did this morning.
Just check your
Let's
email.
get him. Yeah, check email. So let's get him safe because that's the
Right.
priority. Because the one thing that I keep seeing over and over, it's redundant. I'm sure everybody sees this, is falls end up to hospitalization, hospitals to rehab. Sometimes they don't come home from hospital. I mean, it's the fall. 90% of seniors go to the hospital because of falls. So if
Yes.
we can divert that prior to the fall, I mean, even when I go into the home, I look at the rug that needs to be removed. You need to have grab bars here. You need to, even the shuffling of the feet, the slippers that they wear, these type of things. So when somebody calls, let's say, take us to a scenario. Somebody calls you. Someone's going to be discharged. Is that normal? Is that your normal?
Yes. Someone's usually going to be discharged either from a hospital or skilled nursing facility. And then they'll call me. Sometimes, they'll call me last minute only because they're
Yeah.
thinking they're going to take them home like 2-3 weeks prior. Then when it comes down to it, they live their life, they go to work. And then when the hospital says, or the skilled nursing
Tomorrow.
says, they have to go within like 2 days from now, or 5 days from now. Then they start scrambling like, oh my gosh, like, really, I have to take them home, and they didn't. They in the meantime, they've never set up anything.
Right.
They finally realize that their whole life is gonna change because they need to be there 24/7. So then that's when they call me and they're like, well, what do I do? What is a care home? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. But isn't it, I've gotten this call as well. And I've always, whenever I find out somebody's parent or grandparents in a facility, I always walk them through that process. Is that you do know that Medicare only covers up to 100 days, if that, and that's only if they're getting better, right?
Right.
Because I had a relative, an uncle, they didn't get better after a month, and so they told him you have to move out.
Yeah, actually, if they don't do anything in rehab for like, I think it's 3 days.
Yes.
Then they'll
Yeah.
talk about them going home.
So a cousin called me and said, "Why are they kicking him out?" Because I said, "I don't know. Let me find out." I called the facility and found out from a friend of mine that he's not getting better. He doesn't want to do anything. And that's when I realized, man, really, this happened a few years ago, that he was depressed. He didn't even eat hardly anything. And he was so depressed. I mean, this is 3 years later. He's still alive. He's at another facility, but he's private pay. But yeah, they said, how come they're kicking him out? Because he's got to get better. Well, he doesn't want to get better. So I offered, for me to go and talk to him, because when you're talking to your father, the father will always look at you as a daughter or a son. They don't look at you as a professional. So they don't really listen so much. So I offered my service to go and talk to people, because they don't know how to approach the situation. They don't know how to talk to them. And they don't realize, yes, they may not want to do it, but you know what? It's going to affect their family. And they actually had to move out the next day. Actually, 2 days. And the day before they're supposed to move out, they're going to stay in the facility in private pay. The facility said, yeah, you can stay here. The day before they move out, they said, oh, you're not an in-house client, so we have to use this bed for an in-house client.
Oh, wow.
And I forewarned him that because he's not in there as a permanent resident, he may have to move out. And so unfortunately, the facility didn't tell him in advance more than a day that it's been taken already.
Yeah.
But
Because a lot of these are on long waiting lists. You'd be surprised.
Well, the reason why too they'll say you have to go within this many days is also because of the insurance.
Yeah, Medicare only covers.
Insurance is watching to see, they're documenting every day how they're doing in rehab.
Right.
So if you're not performing or you're not going to rehab and trying to work on your therapy, then insurance is not going to pay for you to continue to stay at that facility.
Right.
If you're not doing anything.
So if you have a loved one in a facility on Medicare, because the Medicare covers a percentage up to 100 days, right? 100% the first 30 days or something like that.
Something
and
like that.
After
And then
right?
your private insurance also covers certain
So
things.
if you're not getting better, you need to talk to your loved one or have a social worker talk to them, because for guys, like I said, guys are different, and they need to get better, and I've seen it firsthand where they moved them out and they were really upset. I say, well, that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, you can complain all you want. That's the Medicare rules.
Yeah.
We got to take a short break pretty soon, but yeah, what's really quick in a nutshell? What is care home?
Residential care home is basically a home located in various residential neighborhoods on the island.
Most of them in Kalihi and Waipahu.
Yes.
There's a large number of them in
yeah.
Kalihi and Waipahu. But they're usually run by a care home operator that has some sort of medical background,
Right.
RN, LPN, or CNA certification. And the home is ADA approved, and it's set up as a safe environment to care for individuals with a medical need.
And they all have to they go through Department of Health.
Yes.
And if it's Medicaid, is Medicaid Department of Human Services? I think it is, right? I think so. Medicaid.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, it's something that, they have to be bonded and insured. Hopefully, we had John McDermott, the ombudsman, here on our show a couple months back. But, any kind of questions or complaints will be go through his office. That's why I was telling you, you need to know who he is. And we
Yes.
can help you out. Because one of the first things I do when I find out a family that needs to place somebody, I'll call up John. Or if they say, what about this place? I don't know. I'll call up John and find out. How is it? If there's been complaints.
And actually, you can go to the Department of Health website and look up any care home to see what kind of deficiencies they've had.
It's not updated that
It's
well.
not
though.
updated. That's
Yeah.
what we learned from our interview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not updated.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So there is a
I just
bill.
looked. It was this year. They do get reviewed once a year.
Yes,
Well,
they do,
it's
but
supposed to.
Yeah.
They don't.
Okay.
But John does his best. But there's a bill going in the legislature this year to appropriate funds to have somebody make sure
Yes.
it's posted online. So
Yes.
hopefully that gets it done. And
trying to fill
we'll
that
move forward.
position.
Yes.
Yeah.
But well, let's take a short break. We're here with Ku'u from Caregivers Heart
Hawaii.
Hawaii. She does placement service for care homes. So the second half, we want to cover a couple questions, but second half, we want to talk more about the difference in different care homes, different private pay situations. And I really want to kind of get what's families dealing with out there, because I know they're struggling out there. So we'll take a short break, right? We'll take a short break. This is Generations Radio with Percy and Melissa. We'll be right back.
We will be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
Aloha, this is Martha Clopin.
And Al Harrington. Choosing the right Medicare plan not only saves you money, it also helps you avoid headaches and heartaches down the road.
We want to remind everyone
to listen to a Medicare Moment with Martha, Sundays from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we help answer important questions on Medicare so you can stay healthy, wealthy, and wise all year long.
Call me at 543-2073, 543-2073.
I was an addict from the age of 13. I finally decided it was time for a change. I walked into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center, and that got me ready for the real world. Now, I choose to be guided by Jesus Christ, and today, I'm building a powerful and promising future, free from drugs and alcohol.
Please shop at the Salvation Army family stores. With our discounted sales, your support through your purchase helps men live a clean, sober, and productive life.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4 and 5 night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos: California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit pointVacationsHawaii.com.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy Ihara from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
Okay, welcome back to Generations Radio. We're here with Ku'u Diamante, the owner of Caregivers Heart Hawaii, and she does home placement for care homes. So if you have a loved one that's coming out of a facility after going through rehab, you want to give her a call. By the way, Ku'u, let me see. Your phone number is 425?
Yes.
5101?
Yes.
And do you have a website?
Yes.
And what's your website?
It's www.caregivershearthawaii.com.
So caregivers with S, Hawaii,
Yes.
Heart Hawaii.
.com.
Okay, good. Well, don't forget, remind me we'll do it again at the end of the show.
Okay.
But, I mean, like I said, you're the only one that I know that actually does this. And I know a lot of people in this industry, but so thanks for your service. But your story is really, like I said, everybody that's in this industry for the long haul, which I'm sure you are, have that personal experience. So thank you very much. So we're talking about care homes. So we were talking earlier before the break, guys, that if you have a loved one in a facility, finishing up rehab, you got to start planning. And you got to start planning like more than a day or two before the discharge, right? So I always try to tell people, find out when do the days expire, right? Because Medicare goes backwards, right? They figure out how many days out, to hopefully, when do they tell you? 2 weeks out that you got to move out your loved one by a certain time, or day before?
Sometimes not even 2 weeks. It really depends on how they're doing in therapy.
Ah.
Yeah.
So you have to keep a close watch on that. Then.
Yeah. So the therapy, they have therapy every day at a rehab.
Okay.
And so all the therapists will document every single day how they're doing in therapy. And then from there, they have a weekly meeting with the rest of their staff, and they talk about the patient, each patient. Yeah, social workers, nurses, therapists will talk about each patient and kind of track together as a team how they're doing. So if they feel that this patient is meeting their goals, they do have goals from the start when they get there. If they feel like they're meeting their goals, then they'll probably talk about discharge. If the person is not meeting their goals and they feel like they've come to a point where they plateaued in their therapy, then they'll also talk about discharge too. But if the person still, they feel the person could benefit from more therapy, then they'll continue them on therapy.
But there's a max on how many days, and what was 100 days, I believe, or something like that, right?
I'm not too sure about how many. 100 sounds about right.
Yeah. Everybody's different from what I understand.
Yeah, everybody's different. Yeah. So it really depends on the person and how they're doing in therapy.
Yeah, but I always tell people keep track of that, though.
Yeah. What if the patient feels like they could benefit to stay longer? Can you petition to stay longer in that facility?
They could. Actually, they can.
They can.
Yeah, they can petition to stay longer.
Will insurance cover that?
But it's not a guarantee that they'll cover.
See, I know they calculate the days on the rehab, but I believe it's 100 days.
Yeah.
Because I know I've gotten a call from a couple discharge planners, and they let the patient know that we will discharge you however you need to have 24/7 care in place.
Mm-hmm.
So so let's say someone calls you and say, they told me I need 24/7 care. Do you provide them with agency service, or is that time? How do you decide when they need to go into a care home? Or
usually when they call me, usually they know they need a care home.
Okay.
At that point. But there are people that would just call me, out of the blue and, say, hey, I need help with my mom or dad. And they don't know what a care home is. So then I'll kind of ask them questions like, what is their mom or dad, grandma and grandpa, auntie and uncle, what is their level of care? So how are they functioning? Are they able to walk on their own? Or are they using some kind of assistive device like a cane or a front wheel walker or wheelchair, and then I'll ask them like, are they continent, can they feed themselves, things like that. How old are they? What are their diagnoses, those kind of things. We'll kind of run through those kind of series of questions, and then from there, then I kind of lay out the options, for them, what kind of options I suggest would be good for them.
So from your questions, you can determine what care home that they'll be accepted in, or does each care home have a different criteria?
Each care home has a different criteria.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. So also, depending on the level of care, so there's ARCH and there's foster home care.
So let's start off with ARCH. ARCH. Why is it called an ARCH?
It stands for Adult Residential Care Home. Yeah.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. I know what it means, but I didn't know that for like 5 years.
Yeah.
ARCH.
Yeah.
You know what? And I never thought about asking. Everybody said ARCH, but nobody ever told me that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ARCH. Okay, ARCH.
Well, I don't know why they call it foster.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're all for adults anyway.
Yeah, they're all for adults, but the difference is the person's level of care.
Okay, so let's start with ARCH.
So your ARCH patients are patients that are fairly ambulatory still, might need a cane, or sometimes they still accept people in wheelchairs, but they're still pretty alert. They're continent, incontinent, that sort of thing. They need help with meds management, with basically daily task of living, showering.
But you say ambulatory, that means they can get around a little bit.
They can get around a little bit, yeah. And
Because
even if they can't, they can still, if they're in a wheelchair, they can still be accepted as at an ARCH care home. But at least if they can
have to be able to
stand,
bearing weight.
yeah, they can bear a little bit weight and transfer from like a wheelchair to a toilet or from the wheelchair to the bed, So those are the patients you would see at like an ARCH care home.
And an ARCH is private pay, Medicaid. How is that paid? Insurance?
Private pay.
Private pay or insurance, probably.
No,
Long-term care insurance.
Long-term care insurance.
That's a whole nother story or another show because we have Michael Yee, the long-term care insurance expert. I know a little bit about that stuff, but I would recommend you call Michael Yee in a magazine. But then they have to qualify, and that's a whole nother story about qualifying because I believe
as you age, your premiums go up.
Well, not only that, but activities of daily living.
Yes.
They cannot do 2 of the 5 or 2 of the 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So anyway, okay, so that's private. Arch is private pay.
Yes.
And long-term care.
And about what is that range? Do you know?
So Arch Care Home ranges around, I would say, $4,000 upwards to $8,000 a month.
Okay.
So what does that include in that?
Okay,
rate?
so it includes 24-hour supervision, so someone's always there. It doesn't mean they're going to be at your bedside 24 hours a day.
No?
No.
They don't have to be on property.
Yeah, they're going to be around. So,
Okay.
if you need to ring the bell or yell for them, they're around somewhere. It's not like they're going to be there, though, at your bedside because they have other patients there.
And how many in a house? It's
So
typically a house, right?
Yes. It's a house that's set up, to take care of patients. So usually they're licensed to have around 5 people.
5
Yeah,
individuals.
sometimes 5 to 8. It depends.
And did they have their own room?
Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. They have semi-private or private rooms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny when you mentioned ringing the bell? Do they have a bell by their bedside?
Yes, usually they do have they're mandated to have some kind of calling system.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Either a bell or they'll have the call button like they do in the hospital.
I have a family, good friend of mine. I've known, 30-something years, almost 40 years now. And he was telling me a story about how he came back from the mainland to take care of his parents. Both parents eventually became bedbound. So he had his wife and the 2 little kids, and the wife was a stay-at-home mom. Plus, she had some medical issues. And so she had a great idea with mom and dad both bedbound in the same room. And they said, oh, we'll have a great idea. And she goes, Mom, instead of you yelling that you need help or need anything, I'll just put a bell on your bedside. Big mistake.
She was ringing every 2
Ringing the
seconds.
bell. Oh, can you cover my toe? It's kind of cold.
Oh, wow.
Come back. Can you change the channel? Like every 10 minutes. And she goes, took the bell out right away because it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I can see where they're coming from. But so you have to kind of explain to mom and dad or whoever if they're bedbound.
Yeah, and then sometimes people don't understand when you say 24-hour supervision, they think that person's going to be there at the bedside 24 hours, but that's not what it means. It just means that someone will always be around to tend to their needs if they, need them.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, see, that's probably the best explanation of an Arch since we've ever had it on the show. So thank you, Koo. So Arch is private pay or long-term care insurance. There's 5 to 8 people in a house, depending on how big the house is. All state, they audit them, and it has to have somebody on 24/7, but not personal care, right? But so Arches are people that are private pay, have some ambulatory, but they got to be able to bathe and feed themselves.
No. Actually, at an Arch Care Home, the caregiver or the care home operator or whoever is there to also help that caregiver will help with bathing, daily task of living.
Oh, they can.
Yeah, so they'll help them shower. They also do laundry, food prep.
Light housekeeping, food prep, those type of things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a Arch Care Home visiting a client, and they actually had a garden in the back.
Yes.
Which was nice. It was really getting the residents up and, learning about where their food sources come from and also getting them to
Nice.
participate in the food, preparation of the food. So that was important.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So the questions that I always get, what do I do when I can't take care of mom and dad anymore? So a lot of times if I can't find caregivers, do you provide caregivers or you only resource that out to other agencies? Because I was looking at your website this morning and I noticed you have about 5 care homes. I kind of was thinking what's the process of you finding the care homes and how do you
Actually,
qualify
I
them?
network with over 100.
Okay.
Yeah. So
100?
That's
Wow.
over 100. Arch Care Homes and foster homes. So the ones that I actually just started that on my website, where I'm starting to feature care homes now. So just so that people can actually get a feel of what a care home looks like.
It's like Caregivers with an S, Caregivers Heart Hawaii.com.
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, there you go, Melissa. We had talked about it. It can't be only 5 care homes.
No.
But it was good because it gave me a visual of, the setting. Because some of them were very simple, and then some you had very eclectic kind of furniture, and so it's really kind of
that's what I want, eclectic furniture.
It was very eclectic.
We're gonna find a special one for you.
No, I'm serious. I mean, I have a great variety of experiences and thoughts and likes, and I want to experience things. Even though I should take it back. Maybe when I'm 80, I may not want that. But today I do.
Right.
Yeah.
I want options.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When people call me, they all want different things. So sometimes even in my own mind, I think, they would love this care home. They go there and they go, it's a beautiful care home. And they go, no, it's too dark. I don't like it. It's too dark.
But I know a lot of seniors, when I visit their homes, isn't it kind of dark?
It is.
They don't like light. Especially if they have cataract surgery.
Right. Yeah. Some of them don't like that. And then some of them, they don't like pets. Some care homes have pets.
I can see that.
Some do like pets, though. They love it. And it also depends on the caregiver. Sometimes.
Isn't that, Melissa, right?
Absolutely.
Dealing with home care providers. That's probably the most important thing.
Yeah. If they get a bad feeling off of a caregiver, the way that they were spoken to, or just a feeling they get, and they go, it's a beautiful home, but I don't really like
we were talking about it earlier when we were waiting for you to come in, and in this morning's paper, in the newspaper, it was a story about this lady got caught slapping a senior
in a care home.
In a care home. We won't mention the care home, but you can read the paper today, and it was pretty sad.
Yeah, the resident had dementia. So the elderly abuse, and we were just thinking that's just one case that we hear,
that we know of.
There's
hundreds,
thousands that happen every day.
Yeah. And so we need to report that. That's why I was trying to get you hooked up with John McDermott, because we need families out there. I mean, we can't be with our loved one 24/7, otherwise they'd be living with us. But I mean, when they're in care home, like we had Keith Kaneshiro, the prosecuting attorney, come on the show, and he went to his mom's care home every day. Every day. I mean, I'll say, wow, Keith, that's a lot. I don't know if I could go
every day.
Honestly, almost like down the street from my house, but I'm not going to drive 20 miles to go visit my mom's care home every day.
Right.
But he did.
You have to be their eyes and ears, especially if they're suffering from a dementia.
They also need to build a relationship with the caregiver. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, I know we talked to Calvin Hara from Manoa Cottages, Kamiki, that their people are trained specifically for Alzheimer's and dementia, because their facility at Kamiki, right outside the gate at the backside of Kamiki High School, is a 2-story place. I think they have, how many beds do they have? 24, 28? Around there. And they're all care home, all Alzheimer's dementia related. So their caregivers are specialized in dealing with this, because we had mentioned earlier that I've seen more recently cases where the patient gets combative.
Yeah.
Maybe not so physical, but verbally. And if your loved one is that case, they're going to kick you out of that adult day center or the care home.
Right. Yeah, I've seen cases like that, where you're not able to provide for your mother, and you have this many hours to find a replacement, and which that can just leave a family in a tailspin.
And a lot of times, because of the media and things you hear in the news, the care homes do get a bad rap.
They
do. Yeah. And but a lot of the caregivers, I mean, over 100 that I network with, I visited every single one of them.
Really?
Yes, every caregiver. Wow. And I've sat down with each one of them, talked with each one of them, looked around their care homes, and I've asked them their experience. What kind of experience do you have?
What are your qualifications when you say, yes, I want to work with that care home? What do you look for?
Well, usually I'll look for, the type of experience they have.
And what is that? Just to
CNA, LPN background, RN background, what they did before, how long they've been running their care home, and just how the environment is set up, and, a lot of it is through just the experiences they tell me, that the experiences they've had over the years. And a lot of times you can tell, just the passion that they have for doing it.
Right.
And you can see all of their patients there too look very happy and well taken care of. So
nice and groomed and happy, and also engaging. I think that's important when you go into a care home. I actually went to go see Calvin's care home in Manoa.
Oh.
And it was great. Everybody was engaged. They were actually starting to eat, but they were conversating, and you could just tell that they were just happy to be there. I mean, the environment is gorgeous over there.
Let me ask you both, because you do, Melissa at Ultras Medical, you do home care providing.
Yes.
And you do placement. How much is location important?
Very
Very
important. Very, very important.
You know
It's
that-
almost like real estate.
Yeah, I was
You
going to
know,
say it's
I
exactly.
mean, a lot of it is I want to be in town.
Right.
A lot of times people want to be in town, but in town the care homes seem to be more expensive.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Real estate's
then-
more expensive.
I always
Yeah,
say-
then on the leeward side, and sometimes they're not prepared to pay for that.
I mean, but I get that all the time. It's too expensive. I said, well, that's not the issue. The issue is when you need care, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, another thing is, you know how we always say it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market.
Yeah.
It's a caregiver's market right now. They can pick and choose which client they want to work
Yes.
with,
Yes.
how many hours that they want to take, whom they want. I mean, they can be right now. It is their world right now.
Well, it's
And-
going to continue, as you
and
know.
it's going
too.
to continue, and and there's other shows that we're doing about educating or getting more caregivers educated to work in this market. But I get a lot of calls from clients, and they just say, "Well, send another one, or give me another one," or and it's that I really want to let them know that people are not commodities. That we
Yeah.
really need to understand that there's such a shortage right now with the
Yeah.
caregivers. So I mean, it is definitely a caregiver's market.
And well, a lot of it too, and I talk to my caregivers on the other side of it, they become a little bit picky because they've had experiences with families that will come into the care home and expect, all of these things, and watch them like police, and make them feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to deal with that.
Right.
And sometimes they rather take someone at a lower rate than have to deal with someone that will pay a lot
Yeah.
more money.
When I talk to families, I
Yeah.
tell them that you have to be balanced. You can't
Yes.
expect the world. And that's just the way this industry is. And it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. I think the number of care home beds is like 22 per thousand. National average is 46 beds per thousand. It's already less than half of national average. That number is going to go down as more supply. There's no supply coming up. I mean, we have Kalakaua Gardens just opened up, Plaza Waikiki. There's going to be a plaza in Kaneohe coming up 2018. Other than that, it's not much.
I
And-
mean, like for example, I had a son once that called me for his mom. He was caring for her for like 2 years, and she had dementia. And he said he saw my ad somewhere, and he was like, I think I saw this ad, and I thought, oh, maybe I think I need your help. So he's like,
I think.
yeah, he's like, what? Can you help me with my mom? And I was like, of course I can, So yeah, so he was telling me about her. She had dementia. She was about in her 80s, and he said, I can't even bathe my mom, and I don't feel comfortable bathing my mother.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, like, I'm a boy, and I think if she was in her right mind, she wouldn't want me to be bathing her.
Right.
That's what he felt. And so he said, I think I need to find her a care home where she'll be there, all the time. And he was saying, like, how he's had to give up a lot of his life because he had to care for his mom. So I said, okay, so we found a care home for his mom, and then she moved in, and about like 2 weeks or so later, he calls me and he's like, how come, the caregiver took my mom to the doctor to try and get her medicine for her dementia? Well, he didn't tell the caregiver that his mom likes to walk outside or try to like get away, like go walk down the street.
Sure.
And that's not safe, And so she was unaware of that at the time. And so it only happened when she finally moved into the care home. So I guess the dementia was worse than what she thought initially, and so she was trying to get away from the care home and things like that, and sometimes because of the dementia, they will use medications to help the patient be a little bit more relaxed.
Well, depending on what kind of
Sedative.
medication, because nothing really definitive will say can stop or slow it down.
No.
Right.
But and so he just kind of told me like, well, how come she's trying to drug my mom, and he was like, what do I do, like I said, okay, well, just relax. First of all, how did you deal with it when she was at home? And he said, well, I used to make her go in her room, and and I used to let her stay in her room
And lock her in the room.
Yeah.
yeah. I said, okay, well, that's not allowed. That's not allowed at a care home at all. And so I told him, I would be very careful about the way that I talk to the caregiver about it, because I guarantee you she's not trying to drug your mom. She's trying to find a solution that will help her, be a little bit more settled. And at the same time, she has limitations of what she can do, at her care home and what she does with patients at her care home. I don't think they can even bolt up doors. At care homes, that's not allowed, So I said, if your mom is walking out the door constantly every night and she has these other patients, she can't necessarily just leave the care home, to run after your mom every night. It's not safe for the other patients. So I said, you have to come to a medium with the caregiver and talk to her and see what you guys can do to help mom. Be a team, together. Don't be like against each other, because if not, he goes, well, what happens, if I do? And I says, well, she might tell you take her home then.
Yeah.
And he said,
then now what?
and then he said, no.
What has to be a team effort?
Yeah, he said, I just found my life. My life is back together again. I can go and work and do what I need to do in my life. And he's like, no. And I said, okay. Well, he goes, you don't know how happy I am, because I love my mom, but I'm glad that somebody can be there to properly take care of her. I said, okay, well, then you have to work with the caregiver. You can't be against each other.
What about couples? So like you had mentioned with your grandmother and grandfather when they got ill, what happens when couples get ill together?
So, so I know with the license with care homes, you're not supposed to be like a male and a female together in a room.
In the same room?
Yeah, in the same room. They can be in the same care home,
okay,
but they probably will have to be in different rooms. But I know I've seen like in the paper recently, there was a couple that fought to be in the same.
That was Medicaid.
Okay, that was Medicaid for foster.
The facility didn't have 2 beds because...
Two is for Medicaid and one is for private
some
pay.
Provide. Yeah, not all... Are there any arches, or we even talked about foster homes yet?
Yeah.
Are there any foster homes that get all Medicaid?
Yeah, if they accept all Medicaid.
Yeah, so that facility, I don't think it had room for the spouse.
Yeah, because 2 of those, there's only 3. 2 of those openings are for Medicaid patients and one is for private pay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think they wanted to move anybody out too.
Yeah.
So real quick, we got a few minutes left. Real quick, what is a foster home?
Okay, so a foster home are for patients with medical needs such as, bed bound. They might need insulin, AccuCheck. They might need oxygen. So they have heavier medical needs than those that are in the Arch Care homes.
Okay, more acuity then.
Yeah.
For that. Okay.
So that's what.
And that's all. That's mostly a lot of the Medicaid.
Yeah, so at a Medicaid home, like we were talking about earlier, there's 3 slots, and 2 of those slots are for Medicaid patient and one is for a private pay patient.
Okay, so they are both private pay or long-term care insurance or Medicaid.
Yes.
But isn't there a shortage though of facilities and care homes and arches and foster homes? There's still some around, but.
Yeah, there's a lot, but it just depends on like those caregivers and what they're willing to accept into their care home also.
Yeah, actually their home. They mostly
their
live there,
home.
right?
Yeah, they do. One area of the home is designated for the care home.
So since you work with over 100 care homes, what's the capacity? Are they all filled, or do you find that?
90% full. Yeah, 1 minute. So really quick, are they about 90% full, 80% full, 99% full?
I would say more than the 80%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, well, that's hit or miss because it depends on location too.
Yeah.
Depends on finances, what they can
That's true,
afford. That's the most important part of it.
Kunani, or actually Charlene Kunani De Monte. Thank you so much. She's with Caregivers Heart Hawaii. Check her out online at caregivershearthawaii.com. Your phone number again, Ku?
425-5101.
And if you're listening, write it down, because I'm sure at some point down the road you may need her. So, but thank you for so much. You know, you really got to get to all our partners as well. Because I mean, like I said, you're the first person I've met that knows this kind of information. You're the first person to explain arches and foster homes on this radio show. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Listen, have a great weekend, everybody. Aloha and live well.